Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 157th episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now streaming 24/7 on Your Home TV in Kathy Ireland worldwide. You can always find us on our YouTube channel. We upload every Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern. In our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift, we're featuring Dr. Ava Shamban. She's an American celebrity dermatologist who has made numerous appearances on TV and cosmetic publications. She's an authority on the subject. She's currently a board-certified dermatologist based in LA and founder of Ava MD. She joins me to chat skincare, post-procedure and combination treatments, why pre-prepping the skin prior to a procedure matters, and we'll also get her take on the newest and latest trend of carboxytherapy for incredible skin rejuvenation. In the Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by The Wellness Way, we're joined by our regular podcaster and contributor, Dan Gilman. He's going to be joined by Daryl Stinson, author, TEDx speaker, coach, and philanthropist. He's also the co-founder of Seeding Greatness, which is a movement of leaders restoring the planet and helping humanity to heal through their stories and transformational services. They join me today to chat about his journey from athlete to motivational speaker, overcoming challenges and building a life you love. In the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, today I am joined by Real Housewife of Miami, Guerdy Abraira, founder of the well-known event hosting company Guerdy Design. She's a breast cancer survivor who passionately shares her journey. She rose to fame as an international event planner and cast member in the Bravo series The Real Housewives of Miami. She joins me today to chat breast cancer awareness, her diagnosis, and what life after treatment is like. In the Trailblazers segment brought to you by Metropolitan Lifestyles, we're chatting with Danielle Fetty, founder of FetTech. FetTech is an innovative biotech company in the regenerative medicine space, a one-of-a-kind medical device company working to overcome the limitations in medical technology. She joins me today to chat about skin rejuvenation, breakthrough technology for burn victims, and how regenerative medicine is at the heart of it all. Stay tuned for Real Housewife of Miami, Guerdy Abraira, chatting breast cancer awareness, her breast cancer journey, and her new lease on life. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, 100% pure coconut water. Imagine a drink that's nutrient-rich, powerfully refreshing, naturally sweet with no added sugars, not from concentrate, zero additives, low in calories, absolutely no artificial flavors, and is so tasty that it will become your new favorite beverage. Enter Once Upon a Coconut, the absolute best tasting coconut water you will ever try. Available in 4 refreshing flavors: pure, chocolate, pineapple, and sparkling with energy. Do your taste buds a favor and pick up some today at onceuponacoconut.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, today we're joined by Real Housewife of Miami, Guerdy Abraira, founder of the well-known event hosting company Guerdy Design. She's a breast cancer survivor who passionately shares her journey. She rose to fame as an international event planner and cast member in the Bravo series The Real Housewives of Miami. She joins me today to chat breast cancer awareness, her diagnosis, and what life after treatment is like. Welcoming now to the show is the beautiful, the stunning Guerdy Abraira. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you so much for having me. I am looking very natural today, so don't mind the...
Indeed, you are. For those of you that are listening and not watching just yet, she is glowing. Now, let's jump right in. You were diagnosed with stage 1B invasive estrogen receptor and ductal carcinoma in situ, a DCIS. It's a non-invasive version of it. Now, your treatment plan was really extensive. I read about it. It included lumpectomy, 4 rounds of chemo, 15 rounds of radiation, and just a ton more.
20 rounds of radiation to be exact. Yeah, it ended up being way more than we thought because of the oncotype score.
Dear Lord, can you share with us the journey from your diagnoses to where you are now in terms of your breast cancer treatment and your recovery process?
Absolutely. I mean, it started out, as you said, as a DCIS, non-invasive tumor. And then as they were doing the MRIs, when they found behind it hidden the actual invasive tumor, which is the stage 1B. And so I had to receive radiation and chemo because of the fact that the test called oncotype is where you are able to determine the reoccurrence the recurrence rate of your cancer within the next 10 years. And mine came up above the medium score of 25. So mine was 29 above. And that's what deemed me fit for receiving those two, invasive treatments. But I'm here today. I'm cancer free and I am very healthy. Thank God.
God bless. God always has a bigger plan. I say to people all the time, there are no coincidences. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. And of course, you have gone where there was no path and left this great big trail. Interestingly enough, according to the American Cancer Society, breast cancer is the most common cancer among women worldwide, with about 1 in 8 women in the United States developing invasive breast cancer over their lifetime. And I'm glad to say that now you are a survivor. Now, as someone who has experienced breast cancer firsthand, what advice would you give to individuals who are currently going through a similar journey?
To be honest, I mean, it's obviously early detection. I was getting my mammograms regularly, so I was never in pain. It was just literally whatever they said was on the screen is whatever was happening in my body. So just stay in tune with your body. Do not, cancel your appointments. Make sure that you know that these are the most important appointments of your life. So just make sure that you do that. And a big advice I like to give people is to really be selfish. Do you, boo boo, is what I like to say. Do you first, and then when you're okay, everybody else around you will be okay.
I love that. That piece of advice, because
Yeah.
we, as women, as mothers, as wives, as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we forget to take care of us. We are emotionally beholden to everything and everyone else around us except ourselves. And so you're right. You do you first. And you said something, and you hit it right on. The stage at which breast cancer is diagnosed greatly influences treatment options and prognosis. And your diagnosis of stage 1B invasive estrogen receptor and ductal carcinoma, the DCIS, the non-invasive, reflects the importance of early detection and screening, because had you waited, your outcome could have been much different, right?
Absolutely. And, I received messages on Instagram, and this is only via DMs of people who are willing to even share, that they would say, watching your journey made me go for the first time because I was so scared. And I am over 40, so I've been declining these mammograms. And I did find out that I had it, and now they're under treatment. So I'm like at 405 counting all these DMs. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that I'm actually saving lives just through sharing my story, So yeah.
So important. And you have such an impact on so many women who love and follow you, not for being a real housewife. Like, that's
Exactly.
almost insignificant to who you have become in this journey. And I think the reason why people have such an affinity and a loyalty to you when they watch you and they watch your story is because they grew with you. They felt
cried
your
with me.
they
They cried
cried
with me.
with you.
I think that
Yes.
there's very few stories. I think even me as a Bravo-holic, I would call myself, meaning that I've watched Bravo before I even was casted on this show. There's very few housewives, if any, I can remember, that I actually have an emotional connection with, that I'm cheering for, and that every day I'm like, I wonder how she's doing, or something of that nature. Whether I liked it or not, I became, I think, part of some people's journeys too, because of the fact that it created an emotional bond just by them seeing me getting diagnoses, me struggling with these new diagnoses of getting chemo, etc., cutting my hair. That was actually the biggest outpour of love that I received, of people saying, I remember that day. I would never forget that day. I am you. So me becoming part of people's journey in that sense is becoming really crazy, affecting, in my life too, Yeah.
You're a sister to so many. Now, how has your perspective on life changed after facing such a significant health challenge like breast cancer?
it has affected everything around me. The cliche is obviously you appreciate every day, one day at a time. But the main thing, honestly, for me, and I'm going to say it again, is really to be selfish and to listen to your body. Because, the first thing I did when I wake up is like the alarm goes off. You go drop off your kids. You come home. You make breakfast. You do all these things around you and you get busy. But you have to understand that if you wake up one day and something's not feeling right and you say later, no, that later could be never in the future. So for me, it's always now about like, how am I feeling today? And really listening to myself and my mantra. Being in tune internally will help you feel in tune externally. So for me, it's really about that being selfish thing, and to look around and realize sometimes you got to pick your battles. When you argue with someone and it's about some BS, you kind of like, you know what, you could win this one because I'm playing, chess at this point. I'm not playing checkers, So yeah, you try to save your energy for the stuff that really matters.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because when you look at the stats, despite all these advancements in treatment, breast cancer survivors still face physical, emotional, and psychological challenges
Oh, you would be surprised.
post
You will be
treatment, right?
surprised. The
And
first treatment that I had with breast cancer was my chemo, and I had an allergy, and it burned my entire vein. So I'm still recovering with numbness in this part, neuropathy in my feet still. I have my port scar, which I don't want to cover because I feel like it's my battle wound. So I mean, every second you're looking at something like, oh, that wasn't there before. Wow, I'm not feeling too good. My skin is itchy. My radiation burn is still there. There's so much of it, but you put that aside when you realize like I'm healthy and I'm alive. That's all that counts, So yeah.
yeah. So those challenges that you encountered during your treatment and now that you overcame them, like your port scar, that lives with you forever and it has now made you even more beautiful. And
Oh,
that's
thank you.
it's truly at the base of everything. When you think about life, when you think about the position we're in as mothers, as providers. I had thyroid cancer when I was 23 at the height of my modeling career. It's not
Wow.
my story, it's yours, but I can empathize. I lost my eyelashes, my eyebrows. Had
Day.
vaginal dryness I was told I could never have kids, but now I have an 8-year-old, God bless.
Oh,
Miracle baby. But
yeah.
I look at your story and I find the beauty in it when people
Yeah.
would say, oh gosh, like, the pity, and it's actually it's opposite.
Oh,
You're
don't pity
now
me.
so
Don't pity
empowered,
me.
right?
Empower me. Don't pity me. Empower me. That's all I've asked from the very beginning. My statement was, "Don't pity me. I'm sharing, but not for your pity. I'm sharing because I want you to empower me
Yeah.
and me back to you." So it's paying it forward, truly.
100%. Now, there's various factors, of course, can increase the risk of developing breast cancer, including age and family history and genetic mutations such as the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene mutations.
Yep.
And certainly, and of course, there's certain non-cancerous breast diseases, right? Exposure to estrogen, reproductive factors such as early menstruation or late menopause, and obesity and alcohol
Yeah.
consumption. So there's a lot of outside factors. Now, breast cancer awareness is crucial yet often misunderstood. So what are some misconceptions about breast cancer that you'd like to address?
I mean, a lot of times, like, oh, it's the stress. Yes, and everything can be a contributor to it, but there's not really one main thing. I think obviously mine was deemed estrogen receptor. So what did I have to do? A hysterectomy. What am I on? Tamoxifen. Hormone therapy shot every month. So we're trying to suppress my estrogen level. And I was not a genetic, candidate. I was actually a mutation. So my cancer is a mutation. I'm one of 7 children of 7. 5 of us are girls. So I'm looking at my sisters who actually, most of them live in Europe. Most of them were natural with their hair care. I was already putting relaxers since I was 11. I was, so you're looking at healthcare. You're looking at what you're drinking. The water matters to me. All those different elements, the skin care, hair care, everything that you're breathing. What are we breathing? What kind of air? It all has it's all a contributor, but there really isn't one main 1 + 1 = 2 type of thing that we have discovered yet. So for me, I'm just really reassessing my surroundings and what am I doing for myself. And
And
that
there's no breast cancer history in your family?
this is a mutation. And that's where it's kind
Wow.
of like, okay, what is it that I'm doing? Let me look at all the signs, and I'm
Yep.
definitely reprioritizing those things. And now I made the announcement to Page Six exclusive when I was at DirecTV Oscar viewing party. I'm gonna keep my hair like this because it's empowering. I love it. It's maintenance free. And honestly, with all these hot flashes because of my surgical menopause, honey, I'm literally carrying a fan with me everywhere. I'm just kind of like, this is so much easier. So we're keeping this hair. Is now the second exclusive news of me sharing this. But it's just so much easier. And
I
that's going
love
to
you.
eliminate the products that are sinking into my body for sure. So yeah.
I love you. Okay. Being a public figure, which you are now, how do you balance your privacy with raising awareness about breast cancer and sharing your personal journey?
Right.
You have to find the balance.
Well, Russell, my husband, who's become the people's champ, he has been such an amazing hero in my journey, and I'm lucky to have him. But he is a very private person. I'm more of like, who cares? Let me share, and that's fine. So we have a balance, and because of him, I'm able to kind of withhold some things that are dear to him and me, and not share those things. And there's not a lot of them, honestly, because we're very transparent and we have nothing to hide. But there are obviously some private, things about our love life that obviously we're not out there spreading for a clickbait, put it that way. So we're not clickbait thirsty.
I love it that you're not clickbait
No.
thirsty and that you really truly live one life, in front of the camera, and then you know how to balance it behind and you don't let it consume you, which brings me into my last question. So celebrating your 21st wedding anniversary amidst your battle with breast cancer must have been a mix of emotions. How did you and your husband navigate this challenging time together? Couldn't have been easy.
I mean, it was a very low key this year. I mean, I honestly have a 20th wedding anniversary, big celebration. It was I was gonna, have it on the show, the whole thing. And then all of a sudden came the year after, when early, in March, it was when I was diagnosed with the cancer. So, maybe I'll have some type of amazing celebration, because I hardly celebrate me. The only party that I've ever thrown was obviously my wedding, which was for us, one 40th birthday party, which was for me. And then I was going to do this one for us again. But, trust me, he's kind of like a dodge a bullet, because he hates like the big whoop up. But I'm a party planner as a profession, so naturally I love to host, and I like to be the hostess with the mostest. So
Oh, I can't wait for my invite.
yeah.
Now, support from loved ones, including, of course, your husband and family and your friends, significantly impacted your breast cancer journey, right? Providing that
Yeah.
emotional support, that practical assistance, and that encouragement throughout treatment and recovery is absolutely key. So, your
Yes.
support system played a huge role in your recovery. How did you lean on them during those difficult moments?
I had to physically lean on them, honestly, because the chemo puts you out. And so, the thing with chemo is like this waltz, right? 1 week, 7 days, you're physically in bed and cannot move because of the bone spasm and pain. And then 2 weeks, you're like walking around like everything's fine, but you know that in the next following week, you're back to ground zero. So that dance of like 1 week sick, 2 weeks off, back to sick, 2 weeks off, is a mental roller coaster. And I physically leaned on them, and mentally and emotionally leaned on them, and obviously a higher power too, because you have to say to yourself, okay, I'm the chosen one, okay, I'm the strong one, but can I get through this tunnel? Can I make it and see the light? So for me, it was always about seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and not wavering, to know that I'm going to make it down this tunnel. That was it. So yeah.
You're an old soul, right?
I am 100%. And also, I've been listening to oldie goldie since I was 16, back in high school. People thought I was nuts, and I'm like, this magic moment, nut job. I'm an old soul.
You are, with a beautiful voice. Now, you've reclaimed your life after breast cancer treatment. What are some goals or aspirations that you have for the future? It can't all be housewives.
Oh, no. Of course not. I'm way bigger than, I think, just that what the perception think of me of housewife. But obviously, I have made a lot of reassessment about what I'm doing in my lifestyle to help me hopefully be preventive in my cancer journey. So I actually am a shareholder and partner with a company called Miami Alkaline Water, and it's one of only 3 companies in the nation that does alkaline hydrogen water, and that is the game changer. And actually have a home system in my house that now all of our water is clean, and that also is another game changer, where you have to make sure that you people are spending monies on Birkin bags and all that stuff. Let's invest in our health first, please. So that's my new motto. It's like, first, before you buy a Birkin, get life insurance and get yourself an amazing water system so that you're able to really hydrate yourself properly. Because if I would not bore you with all the findings, but put it this way, my neighborhood, there are 77 contaminants in the water, but it's all deemed safe to drink. So I don't want another Erin Brockovich here. So I will be drinking my alkaline water, Miami Drink Up on Instagram. Check it out.
I love it. I love it. Well, this is a perfect fitting ending because this is the Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, which is coconut water. So I'm going to have the brand send you tons of coconut water. This is 100% pure electrolyte replacement.
Okay.
I started using coconut water during my radiation, and I continue to use coconut water to this day. They have 3-4 different flavors: the pineapple, the energy, the raw, and the chocolate.
There you go.
Well, listen, it was such a pleasure chatting with you today. I really, really had a good time. You are so transparent. I can't wait to see everything that's going to unfold for you this year, and really wishing you and your family the best of luck.
Thank you so much. You're amazing. Best of luck to you too.
Thank you. That was our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut. That was the amazing Guerdy Abraira. You could check her out on the gram at Guerdy Design, or you could check her out on her YouTube channel at Guerdy FY. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance. For more information or to order CO2 Lift, go to CO2Lift.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Going Deep segment, brought to you by CO2 Lift. Today we're featuring Dr. Ava Shamban. She's an American celebrity dermatologist who has made numerous appearances on TV and cosmetic publications as an authority on the subject. She is currently a board-certified dermatologist based in LA and founder of Ava MD. She's a member of the ASDS and the AAD. She also serves on the editorial board for the Journal of Clinical and Aesthetic Dermatology. She lectures internationally and serves as a principal investigator on many clinical and FDA trials. She's the author of Heal Your Skin and a regular contributor on the Doctors and Extreme Makeover. Today, she joins me to chat skincare, post-procedure, and combination treatments, why pre-prepping the skin prior to a procedure matters, and we'll also get her take on the newest and latest trend of carboxytherapy for incredible skin rejuvenation. Now, a one-size-fits-all approach, whether it's for anti-aging treatments or body contouring treatments, is no longer the norm. In fact, most clients often want to correct the combination of concerns ranging from wrinkles and saggy skin and unwanted fat to sunspots, veins, and hollows from lost collagen. No one treatment can provide a client with a solution for multiple concerns. For example, a dermal filler is an excellent solution for treating volume loss, but it's not going to improve the appearance of sunspots, right? Kybella is going to reduce unwanted chin fat, but it's not going to improve saggy skin. So what is there to do? Since utilizing only one mode of treatment may not address all signs of aging, the solution is combination therapy. And this approach makes the possibilities simply endless and the results dramatic. And the combination of treatment can be customized to address your specific concerns. Today, the amazing doctor joins me to chat combo therapy, why no single solo method is an effective approach to skincare, and the newest trend of carbon dioxide therapy for the skin. Welcoming now to the show is my expert at hand on expert on the microphone, Dr. Ava Shamban. Welcome, superstar.
Thank you so much. Like, what an intro. I love that.
Well,
And it's
we got to speak your language. Now, I'm going to shift the narrative just a little bit right now to carbon dioxide therapy for the skin. So, I was reading an interesting study directly off of their website, and CO2 is used alone or in conjunction with other procedures. But CO2 lift increased skin hydration by more than 117% compared to baseline. And with these improvements, really, it said lasting up to 3 weeks. So, the physiological effects also include increases in tissue oxygenation, flow rate, and vasodilation, uh, neoangiogenesis of the skin. So, my question to you right now is carboxytherapy seems to be a top trending skincare in the search engine of Google and often compared to a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Could you elaborate on what carboxytherapy is and why it has gained such popularity?
absolutely. Carboxytherapy is one of our newest device. In a way, it's actually just a mask, but it's one of our newest tricks and procedures that really delivers results. So carboxytherapy can be used on its own. It's a mask. It almost kind of looks like silly putty. You mix up two little packets together to activate it. And the way it works is you apply it to the face, the neck, the décolletage. We use it all the time immediately following treatment because it accelerates healing and improves results. But it can also just be used at home before you walk the red carpet. Anyway, so the way it works is it delivers CO2 to the skin, which makes the skin a little bit more acidic. The oxygen pops off of the hemoglobin, so you get an internal increased level of oxygen. What that does is it opens the vessels, you get delivery of healing factors, and we see improvements in hydration and glow of the skin, and just overall improvement in the appearance of the skin. So as I said, because you're getting very similar to a hyperbaric oxygen treatment, it will accelerate healing, give you more hydration, and is incredibly useful for just improving the appearance of the skin, whatever area of the skin you apply it to.
The positive effects of invasive carboxytherapy are scientifically explained. You said it. You could research this up, down, and sideways, but by the fact that carbon dioxide enables almost immediate reactions at that cellular level and interacts with fermented components of plasma and proteins and carbohydrates to form, active carbon dioxide. And this, when you think of it from even a science experiment, this ensures the normalization of pH in tissues. Interestingly enough, I
Wait, let
had
me let me just say one thing though, that yes, some of the initial results we were seeing were injected carbon dioxide, but it turns out that you can achieve the same results just with this mask that's applied externally, not injected.
not injected. Right,
Not
right.
injected.
Not
Yep.
injected, of course. The
Non-invasive.
method the method
Non-invasive.
of delivery has changed since 1930, and that's what makes this particular product, CO2 Lift, so unique and sustainable. Now, how does CO2 Lift fit into the roadmap of a procedure, and why does healthy skin respond better?
So healthy skin responds better just because all of the functions of the cells are working to their optimal to they're working optimally. And the way that we use the carboxy mask is we apply it, as I said, we apply it immediately following a laser treatment because it's going to accelerate healing, reduce any swelling, any inflammation. And the other times we use carboxy mask is following a treatment several days for the next week or so, because once again, it's going to reduce any side effects. And then sometimes we just use the carboxy mask before people go to a big event or to a big conference or something. I did one the other night because I'm going to a dermatology conference this weekend.
And that's why you are fabulously glowing. Now, CO2 Lift Pro, I had that done in a doctor's office as a medical monotherapy. I found it to have been extremely effective. It was great. I had really dry skin. And it really, the speedy healing of wounds, the speedy recovery, that's what got me the most. I used it on my explant scars after my explant surgery 3 months ago, and it's been extremely effective, even as an aesthetic monotherapy. Now, the founder of CO2 Lift has praised your ability to think outside the box. Can you give an example of how this mindset has influenced your approach to dermatology and skincare innovations?
Well, absolutely. I would say that one of my specialties has been that there's no problem too big or there's nothing that's you can't tackle in one way or another. Whether it's scars from an accident, from I've treated scars from airplane crashes, from bird bites, from car crashes, or whether it's just trying to figure out what's the best way to contour the face, to address asymmetry, differences in the face. And so the way that I found the best way to do it is to layer all these treatments to figure out which laser is appropriate for which issue, and in the same by the same token also which filler is going to be the right one to use in which area of the face, and also which wrinkle relaxer, because there are a host of each of those. But there's one thing that I always use now, which is the carboxy mask, the CO2 lift mask, because it's remarkable how it changes the skin, and so quickly after 45 minutes of using the mask.
I couldn't agree more. Now, are there any specific conditions or concerns that you find carbon dioxide therapy for the skin to be particularly effective for?
Carbon dioxide therapy for the skin is particularly effective if you've had a burn. So let's say you even have accidentally you got a sunburn. It's outstanding for that. Or the laser you were treated with was a little too hot and you've got some persistent redness. Then the carboxy mask is excellent at that. We know from studies that using carboxy mask on diabetic ulcers, which of course are very difficult to treat because the small vessels in diabetes can be very damaged. And so that's why those wounds on a diabetic leg do not heal. So we see that applying this mask to people with diabetic ulcers accelerates. I mean, it allows those wounds to heal, as well as people post surgery, like you mentioned yours. But in a lot of surgery for skin cancer or other types of cancer, a flap is used where you bring one part of the skin over to another side. And so this particular flap may have a compromised, like the blood supply may not be enough. And so the carboxy mask can help restore that blood supply and reduce healing time, especially useful in breast cancer surgery when oftentimes the nipple is moved and there's risk of the nipple actually, the tissue not living. And so
Necrosis, right?
there's necrosis. And so this can absolutely prevent that from happening.
I started using it on my nipples immediately after surgery. Now, it's science, right? It increases the presence of wound repair factors and growth factors, which then help cells turn over faster and reduces the appearance of aging and scars and stretch marks and so much more. I love it for all of the reasons you just stated, stimulating collagen and elastin production, which then promotes elasticity and helps retain hydration, improving local metabolism and elimination of waste products, which then helps the body heal localized damage such as scars or acne or even hyperpigmentation. I couldn't endorse this product more, and you are part of many experts and surgeons and top dermatologists in your field that are really swearing by this. Now, how do you envision the future of non-invasive dermatological treatments evolving over the next few years?
I think the future is very bright for non-invasive treatments because if you think about it, surgery to correct aging is really kind of crude and filled with risk. You can risk damaging a nerve if you're cutting into the face. The results may not be exactly what you want. And also people think that plastic surgery is forever, but it's not. It only lasts about 5 or 6 years max. And so then a lot of the signs of aging start to appear again. So the idea of using all of these technologies improving over time, the tissue tightening, the muscle stimulation, the way the fillers are integrated into the skin, different types of lasers to address brown spots, fine lines and wrinkles, red spots, and also skin conditions like rosacea and eczema and acne scars. That's a wonderful use a wonderful area to treat very effectively. So everything is on the right track to improving and becoming more effective.
Love the narrative. Now we have 2 minutes left and 2 questions left. Okay, here we go. Your top 3 tips to slowing down the aging process.
Okay, well, sunscreen, of course. Using something in the retin A category, in the tretinoin or the retinoid category every day, small amount, following with hyaluronic acid. And lastly, paying attention to all those things that we think, we don't really want to care about, which is nutrition, fitness, sleep, meditation, quality of life, because all of that really contributes to healthy skin and healthy aging. Because it's not so much about aging, the number doesn't mean that much anymore. It's really about living your life no matter what your age is, and you need every single factor. You want to look good too. That's just as important. That totally falls under the wellness umbrella, because we know when we look good, we feel good. And that's hardwired into us.
Amen to that. Now, as a dermatologist, okay, complete the sentence. I would never list 3 things.
Have a blistering sunburn. I would never forget to take off my makeup because pollutants are stuck to it. And I would never stop doing all of my anti-aging treatments, which includes all of the wrinkle relaxers, the fillers, the lasers, the tissue tighteners, because I know that at my age, which is my 60s, that I want to look this way in my 80s. And we have so many ways to do that, because when you look good, you feel good.
Oh, well, you look beautiful and you are glowing. And thank you to CO2 Lift for that. Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much
exactly.
for coming on, Dr. Ava. You are amazing.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. And CO2 Lift for the face, neck, and there's a CO2V for the vagina as well, for people who have had breast cancer, can't take hormones. It's incredibly useful there as well. I wanted to throw that in. But yes, I should have
I
mentioned
love
that
it.
as my essentials. Yes, and CO2 Lift once a month. Rain or
Yeah,
shine.
I love it. Vaginal rejuvenation. We're here to demystify sexual stigma and really, vaginal rejuvenation is at the forefront of that narrative. Well, thank you so much once again. That was our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift, and that was the incredible Dr. Ava Shamban. You can head directly to avamd.com, or you can check them out at skin5.com, and on the gram, Dr. Ava Says, or at AvaMD. You can also check them out at Skin X5. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Make it happen with Mariah Calor, where entrepreneurship meets heart and home. Join her on a journey through the dynamic world of real estate. As a wife and mom of 2 boys who's conquering it all, witness the passion, hustle, and joy as she navigates the exciting intersection of business and family. Check out Make It Happen with Mariah Calor on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by The Wellness Way, your trusted partner in health restoration. Now you can feel amazing at any age with their foundational testing and mind-body approach. The Wellness Way offers in-clinic and telehealth support when you're ready to test, not guess, what your body needs. Discover your best health by visiting their website, thewellnessway.com, and selecting a clinic near you. Do health differently at thewellnessway.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Discover Your Potential segment brought to you by The Wellness Way, we're joined by regular contributor, podcaster, and author Dan Gilman. And today he's joined by Daryl Stinson, author, TEDx speaker, coach, and philanthropist. He's also the co-founder of Seeding Greatness, a movement of leaders restoring the planet and helping humanity to heal through their stories and transformational services. After a tough run as a D1 athlete, Daryl overcame multiple suicide attempts and now empowers many to discover their purpose and live and lead from their highest self. They join me today to chat about the journey from athlete to motivational speaker, overcoming challenges, and building a life you love. Welcoming now to the show is Dan Gilman and Daryl Stinson. Welcome, my friends.
Welcome.
Hey.
So nice to have you on. So, Daryl, before we dive into your recent accomplishments, which there are many, let's first look back on where you've been because it's been quite the journey. So, after earning a full ride scholarship to play D1 football at Central Michigan University, to my understanding, you sustained a severe back injury and began numbing the pain, both physical and emotional, which we know many have done with opioids. And prior to entering your senior year, due to heavy opioid use, you were removed from the active roster, which sent you into a dark depression and ultimately tried to take your life multiple times. Now, you've come quite a long way since this time in your life. Can you share with us the turning point that shifted you from despair to pursuing a path of healing and empowerment?
Yeah, I believe it was Michael Beckwith that says pain pushes until the vision pulls. And the turning point for me is when the pain got so bad that it pushed me out of the depression, the heaviness, the discouragement that I was under. So we talked about the opioid abuse. We talked about, the depression, the suicidal attempts. Well, ultimately, those landed me in a psychiatric unit. And it was there I found faith, I found purpose, I found hope. And then I also learned that through self care, through mindfulness exercise, through journaling, through counseling, through taking a walk, through breathing, meditative exercises, that I could access the same feelings of connectedness, of aliveness that I felt from the external stimuli of sports, even though I wasn't playing. And so it showed me that I could build my life from the inside out and not just the outside in.
It's incredible how you were able to not only turn your life around, but completely shift your path and overall purpose from athlete to speaker, author, and now entrepreneur. I know Dan has some questions. Dan, take it away.
Yeah, as a former Division One athlete, what lessons from your sports career have you applied to overcoming personal challenges?
Well, the thing that pain is temporary and it's part of the process. I think sometimes, people who haven't participated in, high level sports or don't invest in their physical physique at a level that pushes them beyond their comfort zone, that, it just makes sense that, no pain, no gain type of thing. And so, sports taught me that so vividly that, pain is to be expected. Failure is to be expected. It's a part of growth. It's not anti-growth. And so when I work out, I'm literally pushing my muscles to failure because that's the point where they grow. If I don't push them to failure, they kind of just stay toned. But if I push them to failure, they get bigger, they get stronger. And so that's a big transferable principle that I brought into my life after sports is I expect there to be failure. I expect there to be pain. I actually look to push my threshold in certain areas so that I feel those failure, so that I feel like a beginner at a new skill or a beginner in a new or a novice in a new room. And so like that's a huge transferable skill. Another one that I'll mention is the ability to be coachable. So many people have, defenses up and they take it personal when they get constructive criticism, or they have a hard time really hearing that type of feedback. But me, I don't just welcome it, I crave it. I actually seek it out. I ask for it because after every practice, after every game, we had to watch film down to the millisecond to be able to dissect even the minor, smallest movement. And so I bring that same mentality into what I do now in my career as a speaker and as a coach. Is like I watch my speeches, I listen to my coaching calls, I dissect the minute details in order to see how I can improve. I crave that feedback, even if it's embarrassing, even if I don't like how I sound, even if I lost my train of thought. I'm willing to look at it no matter how messy it is, because that is the path to growth.
Boy, you've come full circle. Congratulations. Now
Thank
let's
you.
talk a little bit about athletic identity. So, athletic identity is the degree to which an individual identifies with the athlete role and looks to others for acknowledgement of that role. And many seasoned athletes fall victim to the extreme end of this because they view their athleticism as their entire identity and sole focus in life. So this identity can quickly turn detrimental when an athlete's career inevitably comes to an end, as you know, especially if it's not by choice, like in your case with your career and ending back injury. Now, bouncing back from this and learning to transition out of your sport is no easy feat, my friend. In fact, I know you have a whole book dedicated to this concept called Who Am I After Sports? An Athlete's Guide to Discovering New Purpose and Live Fulfilled. So I'd love to know more about how your mindset had to change as you moved from being an athlete to becoming an entrepreneur and motivational speaker.
Well, the biggest mindset shift is that I had to stop believing that my athletic days were the best days of my life. I mean, literally, the terminology that a lot of athletes use is the glory days. And for me, that psychology meant that the athletics, my athletic career was the, epitome, the peak of my success. And so life was just downhill from there. And that I had to immediately overcome that because that was just a discouraging, disempowering way to live. And that just doesn't apply to me and my athletics. That applies to anyone in the season of transition. If you were an executive that had a really great established career for 20 years and you go into a new season and you retire, well, now you got to be a beginner at something else. And, it comes with that identity crisis. Same thing with a relationship, same thing with any type of job or career. When there's a transition, it brings up all of that.
It's interesting because there's certainly some great lesson to take away from your journey, and I really I thank you for being so transparent and open to sharing your story because I know there are lots of people out there who can relate and look to you for inspiration and paving a new path in life. But again, easier said than done, right? Now, interestingly, according to Linkagol's Fear Factor Index in partnership with YouGov, 1 in 3 Americans were found to be scared of failure, and almost half of the surveyed adults responded that their fear of failure was the biggest barrier to not achieving their goals. In the process of discovering one's purpose and building a thriving career or business, as you empower and teach many to do, facing failure at some point is clearly inevitable, right? So now I know Dan has a question pertaining to this, and I'm interested to hear your answer. Dan?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question that I love to approach. But how do you approach failure, and what advice would you give to someone who's afraid of failing in their endeavors?
Failure, false evidence appearing real. Failure, do the opposite of what it's telling you to do. That's my mindset around failure. It's a false evidence appearing real. It is telling me to do something that I probably need to do the opposite of. It's trying to talk me out of something that I need to talk myself into. So when I encounter failure, I see it that way and I change my relationship to it so that I head in the opposite direction that it's telling me. If it's telling me I shouldn't, I should. If it's telling me don't, I do. And obviously, if we're talking about, running from a bear or a lion, that's different. Like if it fears telling me to run, I'm going to run. But when it comes to living your dreams, when it comes to doing what's in your heart to do, and if fear is coming through your mind telling you don't do it, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not old enough, you're not educated enough, like you have to say, listen, that is fear trying to talk me out of something that I can talk myself into. So I'll tell myself that's how I should do it. That's how I do it. The other thing is I intentionally put myself in environments that bring up all the things that fear bring up. So I walked on fire, for instance. I'm a certified firewalk instructor, Tony Robbins style. And the sheer act of walking on fire, feeling that those flames being lit, man, it invokes all of those fears. And instead of shrinking, cowering, oh no, we can't do this, we raise our vibration, we raise our energy, we put our energy level at that above a 10 because fire burns at a 10. And by doing so, we're able to walk on hot coals. And so now my relationship with fear changes. When fear gets hot, I get hotter. When fear gets loud, I get louder. And that enables me to move through it way more powerfully.
That's incredible. I love the way you that's a great analogy. Now
Mhm.
let's chat about Second Chance Athletes, which is an organization you founded that specializes in helping former and forgotten athletes succeed in life without the demands of a sport and help them discover their identity and purpose through training and coaching and speaking and connecting them with the right people and organizations, which is what you are incredible at doing. So can you tell us more about this movement and what advice you would give to young athletes who are uncertain about their future beyond sports?
Well, yes, the book got created because at that time felt like I was the only one in the world struggling with this thing called athlete transition. when I started to get vocal about my story, I started to get a huge response from athletes at college, pro, Olympic, all types of levels. And they were like, me too. We're struggling. We didn't even know that it was because of the transition. We thought it was because of this or that or the money or whatever. But it's actually the identity challenges that I'm having in this shift that's creating so much of the, statistics that we see about bankruptcy, divorce, drug abuse and those type of things. And so because I saw such a need for that conversation to be more prevalent in the mainstream, I started that nonprofit organization and started to, a live interview series and started to really make this conversation like the normal. Now, the pandemic happened, tons of publicity around athletes prioritizing their mental health, Simone Biles, Michael Phelps, you name it. And so it's becoming more of a normal thing that like transition is very hard to deal with. One of my best tips for people is to reach out for help and be vulnerable about what you're going through. A lot of athletes and really society in general were taught that emotions are weakness. Like, don't show the enemy, your opponent, a flaw or a weakness. Don't show a kink in your armor. And so when it comes to being vulnerable about the things that they're really struggling with, they lack language. They lack the wherewithal to be able to articulate and express that. And so the best thing you can do is be a little bit more vulnerable about the emotions that are coming up for you, knowing that being non-emotional may have helped you win, but in sports, but it's not going to help you to win in life. And so emotions are a gateway to connection and an overall healthy life. And whatever you don't express, you suppress. And so I highly encourage to get in the healthy process of expression through journaling, through counseling, through having conscious, vulnerable, courageous conversation with people that you know, like, and trust. That will start to help athletes to really get the support that they need, because people can't help you conquer what you're unwilling to confront.
Nicely said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question about looking forward. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? That legacy is important. And how do you measure the impact of your work?
My first place that I look to measure my impact is through my family, my children. I've discovered that there's a lot of speakers who teach what they know. Very few people teach who they do. And very rarely do you find someone who teach who they are, their essence, and how they show up. I do my best to teach who I am, what I live out, what I model for my children. And I think they're the best test of my message. Do they respect me? Do they receive me? Are they following these principles? Would they hold daddy accountable? Am I practicing what I preach? Those type of things. And so my family, the quality of my relationships, the way that we embody the principles that I teach from stage and teach my clients is the biggest test of the results of my work, in my opinion, and it is my legacy. I see my legacy as how I'm remembered. I see it as how I consistently showed up. One of the most powerful things that I did, while it may seem a little morbid, is I wrote my eulogy as if my wife was reading it at my funeral. And what it did is I was having her say all this stuff about how I showed up, how I treated my family, how I ran my business, how I treated my community members, how I showed up as a husband and a father and a friend and a son. And she was saying all these remarks. And what that did was it shaped the course of my action on an everyday basis. That's my true north, is that eulogy. In order for her to authentically say that at my funeral, I have to live it out every single day. It's only going to be said through a lifetime of consistency. So my legacy is living that out, that eulogy every single day. I want to be known for how I love and for how I give. Very simple.
I love your roadmap and I heart your narrative. No pun intended. Um, but before we wrap up, because we have less than half a minute left, what are any upcoming projects or goals, and how do we align with your mission to help others discover their potential?
Man, I'm hosting these transformational events for speakers to really help them to crack the next level of resonance in their message, so that they can reach more people, raise their income, and all that good stuff. Because resonance equals reach, which leads to revenue. And so if people are looking to grow in that area, we host them. There's no ticket price at the door. It's live in person. It's a chance to really get quality reps and work with one of the world-class trainers as it relates to speaking and creating resonance from stage.
Well, thank you for joining us, my friend. We are out of time. It was such a pleasure. Dan, thank you so much for bringing on such an incredible guest.
Thank you.
That was our Discover Your Potential segment, sponsored by The Wellness Way. That was the incredible Daryl Stinson, author, TEDx speaker, coach, and philanthropist. Definitely be sure to check him out online at darylstinson.com or check him out on the gram at Stinson Speaks. And of course, to see more of Dan, you can head to discoveryourpotentialshow.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Omega Ball on Your Home TV. Experience the thrill of Omega Ball, the collision of chaos and innovation in soccer. 3 teams, 3 goals, and non-stop action. Embrace the revolution. Watch Omega Ball on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Coming up in our Trailblazers segment, brought to you by Metropolitan Lifestyles, today we're chatting with Danielle Fetti, founder of FetTech. FetTech is an innovative biotech company in the regenerative medicine space. It's a one-of-a-kind medical device company working to overcome the limitations in medical technology, as well as, of course, unprecedented breakthroughs in regenerative medicine. FetTech's groundbreaking multi-tissue platform gives the body the power to heal in a natural, safe way. The product not only helps skin to heal quickly post-treatment, but also promotes healthier, brighter, and firmer skin. I can't wait to hear all about this product line. She's going to join me to chat about skin rejuvenation, breakthrough technology for burn victims, and how regenerative medicine is at the heart of it all. Now, regenerative medicine is focused on developing and applying new treatments to heal tissues and organs and restore function lost due to aging, disease, damage, or defects. The human body has a natural ability to heal itself in so many ways. But don't take my word for it. Take our expert on the microphone's word for it. Welcoming now to the show is my expert at hand, Danielle Fetti. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you. So, from nurse by trade, working in wound care and trauma, you and hubby Clay, a tissue engineer who invents medical devices, had visions on how to advance the regenerative medicine space. And to my understanding, you just wanted to help patients in need. So you founded FetTech. Can you tell us more about the journey that led you to founding this company, and how did your backgrounds in nursing and tissue engineering converge to form this incredibly innovative company?
Well, from the time I can remember as a young girl, I always wanted to help people heal. So I could remember being on the playground and someone would fall, bust their lip open, blood everywhere, all the other kids run away, and I was the first on the scene holding that child and wanting to help. But I had to take a really a-traditional route to get here because I struggle in school. I'm dyslexic, so reading and writing was challenging. However, I played lacrosse, which helped me get into college. And in college, I took up nursing. When I was doing my rounds in the hospital, I realized like this wasn't for me. I didn't feel fulfilled. I didn't know why, but I felt myself doing something bigger to impact more people. So I jumped over to the medical device and pharmaceutical world. And I had amazing corporate training. I was able to fly the world, work with different hospitals with really innovative products, teaching surgeons in the OR how to use these cutting edge technologies. But I job hopped early on, company after company, trying to find my way and feel fulfilled. I came upon regenerative medicine, and that was it. Fell in love. One night I met my husband, who wasn't my husband then, who attended a dinner. And so we were trying to mutually help a patient with a rare bacteria flesh-eating disease. And through our mutual passion of wanting to help this patient, we discovered that together we could move mountains in the hospital. We were able to take a product that he helped develop for this company and share it with patients and areas within healthcare that the company at the time just was too narrow-minded to see that we could help. And we would brainstorm like how to advance the regenerative medicine space, how to make it better. Well, one day we got fired from this company. And at the time I was devastated, but it was the biggest blessing ever, because looking back, when you have a company that answers to a board, they're money driven and everything's about the bottom line, the money. And we know that we're all going to be patients one day. And I would want to treat someone in the hospital the way I would want myself to be treated, or a loved one. So I told him, you're an engineer. You have helped develop every big regenerative medicine product used in the hospitals to date. We have experience on all ends of medical device between the two of us. Let's create something better, and let's do it ourselves. Let's not take outside funding. Let's spend our own money so we don't answer to anyone. And by that route, if we get FDA approval, we'll be able to bring out a better product to the patients that need it way faster than any other company could.
Fast forward to today, and you're onto something, because according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the healthcare and biotech industries are projected to grow significantly, and I mean significantly, in the coming years. And this indicates a ripe market for innovation solutions, and of course for companies like yourself, FetTech. Now, the regenerative medicine market size was valued at close to $29 billion. That's back in 2022, but it's projected to grow from 35 billion, that was in 2023, to 198 billion dollars by 2030. Now, FedTech is described as the pioneering company in the regenerative medicine space. Could you elaborate on how your multi-tissue platform works and its potential impact on patient care?
Yeah. So when I started using regenerative medicine and was introduced to these type of products used in the hospital, it was around 2007. And from 2007 to 2018, when we were FDA cleared, all devices would derive from one tissue source. And when you only use one tissue, you're limited to the biomolecules in that one tissue source. So we thought, how can we give the body more of the good stuff it could potentially use to heal? Because the truth is, in healing, we don't know exactly what the body needs or when it needs it. We can throw around different conversations about various collagen types, hyaluronic acid, growth factors, exosomes, but at the end of the day, it's an abundance of all of these things, leaving it up to your own body to decide what it needs and when it needs it. So we took more than one tissue, developed the multi-tissue platform, and we now have a product that can give your body the most robust amount of ingredients, if you will, to remodel and repair.
I mean, it's interesting because if you look at the preclinical treatments of burn wound models, inclusion of stem cells resulted in better wound healing by inducing improved granulation tissue formation, collagen deposition, healing speed, wound appearance, amount of scarring, presence of adnexal structures, and even regulation of inflammatory markers. In this case, stem cells are at the heart of the treatment. Regarding your technology, how does your multi-tissue platform work to promote skin regeneration and healing? And what sets it apart from existing products and technologies on the market?
The easiest way to describe it is, let's say your house burnt down to the ground, right? And I gave you a hammer, some nails, and wood, and a builder. That builder could build something. They could build some structure. Would it be a remodel of your home? No. But if I gave them an abundance of tools, and I gave them plumbing and electrical and structure and instructions on how to use all of that and what I wanted, your house could get remodeled. So I equate that to our product versus some of the other products out there. There's a lot of great products that have great biomolecules that will aid in regeneration, but the more of the good stuff you give your body, the more your body's able to pick and choose what it needs to remodel. And I've seen miracles. I mean, I've worked with these type of products for a really long time. And it wasn't until our product was cleared in the hospital. And I would say, listen, I know it's scary to try a new product, but let's find a patient that's in your hospital right now that you're praying at night. You have something comes across your desk to help this patient because you don't know what else to do, and they have an open abdomen with a huge infection. And everyone in the regenerative medicine space knows that if you have an infection present, you cannot or you should not heal until you treat the infection, where we will able to simultaneously heal the infection, heal the wound and treat the infection at the same time. And patient after patient, I would just see miracles. And I didn't think as a wound care nurse that we could heal patients with poor blood flow to an area. I thought we would have to amputate their leg. We would try our product and it would work and we would save a limb. And so I'm very proud of the product we have, and it is definitely advanced because we're seeing healing that I never thought we would see very quickly.
Well, you set out to do exactly that when you were a child, and look how full circle you've come. And when you look at non-invasive products, they're on the rise. According to American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the demand for minimally invasive cosmetic procedures continues to rise today, indicating a need for innovative products. Now, obtaining FDA clearance on a gel for the aesthetic space that acts as a magnet to bring stem cells to the injured quote unquote area, signaling to the body to harness its own regenerative capabilities, sounds rather complicated. Could you speak to the challenges you've faced in obtaining FDA clearance for your products, particularly in such a cutting edge field like regenerative medicine?
Yeah, it's tough. So we are cleared as a medical device, and our first and only right now FDA approval was for a wound powder. And we have like a book, probably a foot long, of all the clinical studies we had to do. And remember, we funded this ourselves. And there was one study in particular where we kept failing. We weren't able to complete it because it was a viral study. So we had to prove that if the tissue had virus on it, would we infect a human that we were implant or using our product on? We don't implant, but use it topically on a patient. And we were failing this test. And through that discovery, at the time, I was devastated. I was crying. We didn't have thousands more to shove and redoing this test. We discovered that we inactivate envelope viruses. At the time, I didn't know what an envelope virus was. So we Googled it and I saw herpes and I'm like, oh, well, that's great. In the future, I do get fever blisters usually once a year on my lips. I will be using this. Um, but we just kind of checked it away. This was a year before COVID broke out. So now
Wow.
COVID breaks out, and my husband Googles envelope viruses and says, "You know what an envelope virus is?" I'm like, "Yes, you told me it's a herpes." He's like, "No, coronavirus and some of the world's most deadliest diseases like Ebola, Zika, HIV, hepatitis, and the list goes on and on." And I'm like, "What?" So our mission from the powder was to over COVID, during COVID, we made our powder into a gel because from gel form, we thought that we could administer it in different ways to help people that had COVID, like inhalation, potentially IV. So wound powder was first. We developed a gel, and somewhere along the way, I love all things beauty. And I sat back and I'm like, I am seeing the most beautiful, stunning results remodeling tissue in burn patients. In trauma, we would have volumetric tissue loss where a chunk of the patient's body was on the side of the road. And normally the old school products we would use wouldn't you would still have a concave area. The
Right.
skin would grow across to heal, but you still had like a chunk of skin taken out where we
Yeah.
would use our product and it would fill in from the base up and then epithelialize over. And I just thought like,
Fascinating.
yeah, right. So I was like, gosh, if I love all things beauty, I would love to use this on my face, like post laser, for example, right?
Imagine that.
Hmm.
So
So here
so
we
I
are.
so here we are, and I'm gonna, because I want to be mindful of the time. So you've come full circle now. You're trying to now replicate what you've done internally to, beautify women, which I can't wait to try this. But we all know that FDA approval processes can be so lengthy and rigorous, with only a fraction of submitted medical devices ultimately receiving clearance. So understanding these challenges the way you and your husband do is so crucial, especially not only for investors and stakeholders, but even just to get through the roadmap that you're supposed to get your product to market. Now, when you look at the stats, let's go back. Hospitalizations related to burn injury hover at 40,000 patients, including 30,000 at hospital burn centers. Over 60% of the estimated US acute hospitalizations related to burn injury were admitted to 128 burn centers. Such centers now average over 200 annual admissions for burn injury and skin disorders requiring similar treatment. The statistics and the numbers don't lie. Looking ahead, what future developments or expansions do you envision for FetTech, especially in the context of the aesthetic and cosmetic space?
Well, we're already used in hospitals throughout the country in burn trauma, wound care. But where we're focusing right now is working with the government to try to bring antiviral to fruition to help patients. And we are in the process of getting FDA approval for the gel, which, like I said, I cannot wait to use that post laser. And I think the sky's the limit for the technology and where we can use this.
Yeah, market research suggests such a growing trend towards personalized skincare and aesthetic treatments, presenting this incredible opportunity for companies like yours to really innovate and capture the market share. And I truly believe when you have a company like yours that's sustainable, that's proprietary, that the FDA is giving their blessing to, you have a gold mine on your hands, my darling. And that is why you are in the Trailblazer segment.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, the cool thing is I was never, I'd be lying if I said I don't like money. Like, who doesn't? But that was never like the driving force behind this. I just knew if we did the right thing and help people to the best of our ability, the money would be there, and then we could reinvest that money into other projects to advance, the regenerative medicine space.
You are amazing. We are out of time. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting and really being so transparent and such a super mama, because I know that you juggle so much, but it was a pleasure chatting with you today.
Thank you.
That was the incredible Danielle Fetti. You have to check her out directly on the website at fettech.com. And at FetTech, they're all about tissue engineer developed science. They have a lot of backing. They built upon decades of forward thinking experience in specifically the regenerative medicine area. And of course, their tissue derived biomaterials, extracellular matrix, and tissue engineering are at the forefront of it all. They pioneered a revolutionary technology platform, the multi tissue platform, what we just talked about. And now this is going to be advancing healing tech and set to change the healthcare landscape forever. So excited about this product. It's safe, accessible, and definitely life-changing, like she said. Head to fettech.com, fettech.com, and you can check her out on the gram at danielle.fetti. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. That was our Trailblazer segment, founder of FetTech, brought to you by Metropolitan Lifestyles. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to live on a boat? Climb aboard and share in the amazing yard-to-yacht adventure on yourhometv.com and explore the warm tropical islands, meet the people, and sample the culture of the beautiful places. Check out Yard to Yacht on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube 2 p.m. Eastern, and all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide streaming platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to us. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll see you next week.